What's up, everybody? This is Devon, and this is another episode of Daddy Devotional. It's a little special, though. We have my wife and our great friends, Caleb's godparents. Son, this is your godparents from when they were younger, before they got old. Anyway, today we're going to be answering some marriage questions, and so we asked some questions on Facebook, asking people what their questions were about relationships and marriage, and so we got plenty of questions, and we're going to try to knock these out.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Let's hit them. Let's hit them with the hard one. The first one is, where do babies come from?
The stork.
Okay, here's one that everybody, I think, wants to know. How do you know when you're ready for marriage?
Ooh.
I'm assuming you're in a relationship first.
Right.
I would hope so.
I just believe it to be, and I know it's cliche and you hear, oh, you just know, but you do. Not to put myself out there, but I was proposed to 4 times before saying yes. It's just that, I mean, I'm loved.
Pop your cousin in.
And wait, are we saying by different people?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That would have been really awkward. You get it by the 3rd time.
Yeah, I would never propose more than once.
Well,
guaranteed. Say no, say no more.
how did you know?
I was ready for marriage?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there was a knowing. That's what I always aspired to. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I always aspired to it, but I don't think, because I think when you say, because I know I'm ready for it, like, I think then that's when you're really not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I segmented my life when I was young. So when I was maybe 10 years old, I always looked at myself like, what am I going to look like at 15? What am I going to look like at 20, at 25? And I always envisioned by 25 I would be married.
25. Oh,
which is kind of, weird.
So let me tell you something. If you're 25 or 26 or 27, I'm just going to tell you right now, just wait. Just wait. You're not missing anything.
I said 27 too. That was
just wait.
Necessarily knock it because
no.
He was 23 when we got married, and it's 12 years later.
Listen,
he was 23.
Listen, and I think
rare.
That is the exception to the rule. Please.
No, it is definitely. I agree.
And let me also say this. Here's my interpretation. You are never ready. Like, you may feel ready.
That's very true.
But you have no idea what you're getting into.
It's just like with children.
It's just like with kids.
Yeah.
You have no idea. So this is what I will say. It's not about you necessarily being ready. It's about you being as prepared as possible. That's it. And you really can't. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Their marriage is completely different than ours. So preparation for them is completely different. So I would say, let God prepare you for whatever that's going to look like.
Yeah.
I think there's more signs that you're not ready than there are that you are ready. If that makes sense.
True.
Okay, let's go to this next question. This is going to be a good one. Is there actually a time when you're ready? If so, what are the preparations? Same person. So we kind of segued right into that.
Oh. Okay.
What's the preparations?
I think everyone has an expectation in their husband or wife to be. So from that, from that aspect, it's like, okay, does this person meet those things? And if they don't, are they moving towards that, or is it acceptable for me?
Like, what can you live with?
Is that in relation to the other person or to yourself?
To the other person.
Or how do you self prepare? Is that
You mean the question? Oh, you mean the question? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the preparations to getting ready? I guess
yourself.
For yourself. Or the relationship, I guess. One thing is stop fornicating. If you're doing that, that's a really great thing to stop doing before you go in. Just to kind of see. Yeah,
it really clouds the vision.
It really does. And
don't use it, I'm ready for marriage, or I'm preparing myself for marriage. Oh, man.
Not your thought.
I did.
Dang, it sounded like it was going to be good.
It was. It was like Oprah ready.
She was.
Work on self is one thing I will say.
I was 23 when we got married.
Is,
that's right.
You have to love you before. You can't better yourself or say, oh, because I'm going to get married, it's going to be better for me or this and that. Before we got married, I was in a good place of just being me, my son, and that was it. And the Lord just so happened.
You just brought up a really good point in regards to like knowing yourself and being ready. But I think that what's important is never have the mentality that that other person is going to complete you. If you're not complete already, you're not ready.
What good are you?
You complete me.
is marriage really a ministry? And if so, please explain.
I'm gonna leave that to you. You're the deeper one.
It is.
Start us out, babe.
It is.
What are you looking at me for?
It is. It is.
Well, Scripture says.
There it is.
I'll say this. The only way to survive marriage, I know for me, I'm far from being a good husband. That I should be. I'm sure she would probably say something differently, but as far as what I know I'm supposed to be, and I knew that on the day I got married, when I threw away my vows, it basically just said, I'm vowing to let God be the best husband through me. With that being said, if people don't see God in my relationship or in my marriage, then I don't really know what the purpose of it is. Because here's the thing, like, if it was about sex, I was doing that, not with her, but I was doing that before I got married and was still able to minister inside the church. Okay?
Yeah.
So that doesn't help in that area. So outside of me trying to figure out how to become the best husband possible, so that somebody who wants to be married has at least some kind of example for my son or my daughter or whatever. But it needs to be some form of ministry that exalts God. And that's all I can really say as far as that. That's my everyday struggle, is how do I make Christ more apparent in my marriage. And it's hard because Jesus died. Yikes.
Yeah.
So.
And I think you also have to look at what's associated when you think about ministry: service, sacrifice.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think those are, and many more than that, but I think those are two of the things that are required in your marriage. And that's what makes it a ministry. And
You better preach.
But that's after God, it's your husband and wife.
I have a question for you guys. How is sex after I do?
In the beginning,
What's the word?
and the word used to be no. But it's gotten better. It has. You would say I wasn't as.
Well,
No.
Tell the people how long you've been married.
We've been married 12 years, and it wasn't on a regular steady, I would say. I was always known, right now, I'm cool, I'm good, great, thanks, okay. But now, I don't know if it has to do with the older I'm getting and things that I've heard about a woman and a flip that she makes. Because I do find myself...
Back it up, Flynn.
I do find myself more so now wanting it more in the relationship. Now, it gets better.
This is going to a place.
Where are you going someplace?
Where are you going?
Jason, you wanna?
I think you should try.
Sex is wonderful, and the reason I would say it's wonderful after I do is there's no shame.
Restrictions.
There's no shame. Like, first and foremost, there's no shame. Like before you're married, like,
I don't know.
If
even
that
after
takes
you're
place.
done, you're like, man, I probably shouldn't have done that.
I don't know if I had.
And then I have no concerns about outside influences as well. You know what I mean? Like what we have together from a in our bedroom standpoint is what we have together in our bedroom. I don't have to be concerned with these crazy STDs that are going around and this. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
They're
Like
crazy.
so there's freedom in it.
Got you.
Right? Whereas when you are not married, you have to be careful and be protected and all these. Well, you really shouldn't be doing it. That's why you have to do those things, because you shouldn't be doing it.
But as I was trying to say, it gets better because you're deeper in love than you were from day one.
Oh, we didn't know you were going Love Jones with it.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't have that experience. It wasn't the shame part. It was like trying to. After you tell yourself no for so long, and then you tell yourself yes, it's like doing 80 on the freeway and trying to throw your car in reverse. Like the process to getting back from me was like, I know I'm supposed to be able to do this, but it still don't feel right.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. It took a minute before I was like, okay,
this feels right on a regular.
Yeah.
And this is what we're supposed to do.
Like all these feelings I'm supposed to feel.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Now, granted,
I'm
that's
supposed to
if-
act on it.
yeah, and that's granted if you've been trying to be abstinent. Like if you're not trying to abstain from it, then it's probably gonna feel
Normal.
normal. But like when you shut that engine off for like a few years, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna dedicate my life to the Lord, and these loins belong to you, Jesus. And then like he's like, oh no, you can go ahead and then they use the phrase, nothing can defile the bed, and you're like, wait, so then...
Wait, what does that mean? Right.
I can do everything I'm thinking of, and I don't even know what that means. So
Back to old thoughts, all kind of stuff.
all that stuff. Okay. Now here's a good one because it affected me personally. Can you keep your best friend of the same sex once you get married or in a relationship? I'll say married. Relationships are...
Can you keep your best friend of the same sex?
So
like if my best friend
Sorry,
is a
since you
female.
said that.
right, yeah. So basically, like if she's the same sex as your wife, or you know what I'm saying, like if you can she have a male friend that was her best friend until we got married? Can she keep that male friend?
So
No.
Oh.
No.
probably
Don't have any relationship with anybody that makes your spouse feel uncomfortable. That's the lesson.
There you
that I
go.
learned. Just
Great.
That's
That's what it boils
it can be
down to.
completely platonic for real, but
Yeah.
if it makes them feel uncomfortable, that's your priority, not your friendship with whoever that person is. Like,
Yes. Be it human.
Perfect.
Animal.
Way to say it.
If you're uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable, and let it go.
I don't know where this is.
I'm just, oh my.
That got weird.
This is from somebody who's getting married very soon.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Okay. Tips on surviving arguments, disagreements in a productive manner. So you have the big blow up, and you're like, okay, so how do we get back to?
I'm still working on that, so I don't have an answer.
Like
That
it's
comes
just like
with time. That really comes with time. No, it does, because
what being able to get to the point where
to
you
just
know not to hold on.
Yeah, like when you know what battles to fight and what, it's just like
I got you.
the longer you're in the relationship, it's like it's not even worth. Okay, great, fine. You feel that way, awesome, and you keep moving forward. But in the beginning, especially if it's someone that you have to, not only are you taking on their last name or they've given you your last name, you're sharing space with them for the first time, because we didn't live together before we got married. So you're not only having to learn all their routines, but their habits and their attitudes with that. So it does take time to
And understand
to say,
there will be those growing pains because you are now one.
A pastor told me this. And he said this is the reason why he doesn't do marriage counseling. Is because it's very simple. When there is an argument, somebody is not trying to be like Christ. He says basically when both are trying to be like Christ, you can have disagreements, but Christ is the center, and it doesn't turn into whatever it is that we have. And so he said that, and then he also said never use the word divorce unless you mean it. Never bring that out unless you are seriously going to do it, because you can't flex that word.
Take it back.
Yeah. Last question. How do you maintain the excitement after the honeymoon phase is over?
You have to make time for each other. Have to.
That's what we're trying to do.
I don't care if you have one child or 800 children. You have to make time for yourself as a couple. And I tell people this. I just saw two young girls, one recently married, another one getting married, hasn't set a date, but they were asking, well, how do you stay in a marriage for 12 years? Like, how does it work? I don't care if you find the nearest hotel in your city. If it's 2 days that you're just gone, and not every month, but just get away to enjoy each other, a movie, dinner, a walk in the city at night, whatever it is. I think time with each other. What was that?
Safe city.
Okay.
Like if you're in Southgate, don't just go walking down the street in Southgate.
So here's my answer. Never let the honeymoon phase end. I still feel like we're in the honeymoon phase. So I don't know when that ends.
You haven't been on vacation with them.
People say that never let it end, but what does that look like?
I don't know how to explain it, but it just looks like us. Like our relationship is that way.
If you work at wanting to be with each other, you'll never want to be apart from each other.
And let's not pretend like the honeymoon is when the relationship started. Like you guys had arguments prior to marriage, so it's not like the honeymoon phase is void of disagreements and arguments and bad times. That's not what it's about. Like, to be honest with you, the honeymoon has its issues. Like our honeymoon wasn't completely smooth.
Oh, neither was ours.
No.
That's
It wasn't
not,
really smooth.
that's not.
We could write a book on the discomfort.
But like,
Come on.
It was-
You have to use words like that.
I'll say this: like, you don't want to think about the honeymoon has been turned into a phase, but the idea of the honeymoon is to set a trend for the rest of your life. Like,
Correct.
you're spending that time to bond with that person. Like, you're going away and doing all that stuff because you're going to go home with the same person. Like, you're continuing the same thing in a different space. And like, Hawaii's not going to make your marriage better.
Right.
Italy's not going to make your marriage better. It's like,
No.
if your marriage is hell at home, then all you're doing is taking that same stuff somewhere else and trying to forget about it.
Right.
Like, basically, if you don't enjoy being around the person before you get married, the honeymoon phase is not it's not a magic box. It's not going to change you into
It
something.
doesn't
So,
cure anything.
I love being around my wife. And I tell her all the time, like, sometimes you're a straight up jerk. And she'll tell me the same thing. But that's what makes me want to be around her.
Right.
Because sometimes I get to watch her be a jerk to somebody else, and that makes me feel tremendously great. Because I'm going, oh, see, I know it's not just me. Like, that's
Right.
her. Like,
Right.
and she watches me do the same thing. Like, she's like, oh, he's not just that inconsistent with me. He's just consistent all the way across the board. So, like, it's just different. You know what I mean? And I will say this also. Like, when you have friends,
Yeah,
like,
going there.
yeah.
Yes.
You gotta have that, dude, because
Yes.
like, we watched their marriage, and we're only 3 going on 4 years in, and we're aspiring to get to 12. You know what I mean? And so, like, to watch them have multiple kids, we're about to have our second. They have 3, so we're like, well, how did you balance that out?
Right.
Man on man defense, how'd you guys do that? So, like, it's
Zone, man.
yeah, it's that kind of stuff, because otherwise, if it's just you and your spouse, you guys trying to figure out something is like 2 blind people trying to find their way down the freeway.
Right.
Like, it's don't do that. Like, get some help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, I believe that every marriage should have, it should come with a set of mentors.
yeah.
You know, not that it automatically will, but you have to seek that out. I think you should definitely look for family members or friends or people in your fellowship, whoever it may be, but someone who you look at even while you're single and say, you know what, when I get married, I want my marriage to be something like what they have. And I think that gives you something to strive for, number one. But then number two is, once you do get married, you have someone who you can try to, you know, get close to. And I mean, because married couples, trust me, married couples do not mind sharing their details with other married couples, because no one wants to see a marriage end.
Right.
Bottom line, no one wants to
Unless
see a
you're a side
marriage
chick
end.
waiting
Well,
Pleading.
yeah.
for the
But
marriage
then
to end.
you're not a side chick if you're married.
And there's some of you out there right
Should be,
now.
at
I
least.
see you.
I know I see you.
Oh. Boop.
And with that being said, that's the end of this vlog, Daddy Devotionals Marriage Edition. If you guys have any more questions, please hit us up. You can visit us on Facebook at the Daddy Devotionals. You can also hit, well, you can hit me. I don't know what they do on social media, but you can hit me.
You can hit me, yeah. Well, I don't know.
Anyway, all of
As long as my
our,
wife is comfortable, you can hit me.
our social media profiles will be linked in the description below. Please hit us back, and until next time, peace. Deuce.
8 10 down.